Let's look at the law of diminishing returns in terms of the individual lifts, because it's going to be important in our discussion of how to proceed with moving along this spectrum with the training variables. So, for example, what does your squat and deadlift trajectory look like on this? I mean, all the trajectories look like this, right? They're all going to follow this same law of diminishing returns. But let's look at these relative to each other. All right. So if these are your big lifts, your squat, your deadlift, all right, how quickly will your press go through this?
Much more faster.
Right. You're going to continue to add weight to your deadlift and your squat, 5 pounds at a time per workout, 5 pounds at a time week to week for a very long time. You can get by going through this with relatively simple, basic, and general programming on those big stressful lifts, right? But how quickly will the press go through this? Right? So look at it like this. If you start with a 95-pound squat down there, let's say 340 up here, right? So that's the squat. If you start with a 75-pound press, what's the number here for the press? It's reasonable, right? What's the number up here for the press? 210, 205, right? You see what I'm getting at? What's the number up here for the squat? 500, right? I'm just yanking these numbers out of my ass, but in relative terms, this is accurate, right? What's the number here? Let's say the first day you bench 95 pounds. What's the number here for the bench? 200, 225, I don't know, it's 200 to 225. What's the number up here for the bench? 315, something like that. You see what I'm saying? So these things have a different trajectory. The trajectory is the same, but the time that it takes for those lifts to go through those things is going to be drastically different depending on the movement. And it's obvious why, right? The squat and the deadlift use your entire body, right? The press also uses your entire body, but smaller muscles are moving, and your entire body is acting as a stabilizer for the long kinetic chain. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So you have to consider this in terms of the program, right? First day of this same guy who's squatting 95, benching 95, and pressing 75, the first day he might deadlift 185, right? And then up here, we'd expect his deadlift to be 365 or so. And then up here, if he's doing these kind of numbers for the other lifts, his pull's going to be 600. You see what I'm saying? So we're going from 185 to 600, 95 to 365, 95 to 500, 75 to 210. You see the disparity there? Okay. So the point here is that your press, for example, is going to move through that simple, basic, and general to complex, specific, and individual through the novice, intermediate, and advanced stages much quicker than the rest of the lifts. Potentially your bench as well. Your deadlift and your squat, maybe never. Right? Maybe you just barely touch advanced programming for the squat and the deadlift. For most of us, you never get beyond intermediate programming for the squat and the deadlift. But you might be doing some pretty crazy shit with your press.